Tony, how did you deal with not being able to communicate via speech and writing?
I think one of the things that I was told very early in being examined for my stroke, a stroke specialist told me that I would never ever write again. He knew that I was an author and he told me categorically that I would never write again, which is absolutely wrong. I have written again and published, and that's only after 6 months. And I think that something that gave me a lot of help and hope in this area of dealing with stroke is the book by Norman Doidge called The Brain That Changes Itself. It's the most wonderful book because it doesn't just give ideas, it gives enormous amounts of result and people's actual experience of going beyond the difficulties of stroke. And he says even if you've only got half a mind, half a brain, the brain has such enormous capacity. Like a child, if you practice and practice, you can develop again. You develop all that again in a new area of the brain. It's not, we have this weird understanding of us that if the brain is damaged, we are damaged. We as a person are damaged. That's not so. The brain is an organ of expression, and I really believe in the human spirit behind that, and that spirit is still there, wanting to be and to express. So that kept me going. It enabled me to see how to do it. It's constant practice and trying again and again. Also, I think I was very honest or straightforward in dealing with people. Not that I deal with many people, mostly at the checkout on supermarkets. And I would simply say to them, excuse me, I'm not very well doing with talking and I've had a stroke, and so I'm going to try to tell you what I want. They were so good and kind and helpful, as if I explained it, they were there listening and helpful, and that was very wonderful to see. And I also with writing, for ages I couldn't write anything. I mean, for say 4 or 5 months I could not sit down and write. I had no impulse to. Then suddenly one day there it was, and I could do it again, because I'd been moving forward all that time, and I could do it and do it well. I think one other thing that struck me was that I went to see a speech therapist, a very nice woman, and she tested me and said, well, you've done well, there's nothing I can really do for you at this time, you just got to keep on. And then she asked me a question that really clarified so much for me. She said, are you crying a lot, or frustrated or angry? I said, no, I never experienced those things. And I tried to explain why, but she wasn't really interested to listen to a long answer. But what I understood was that I had learned through a long life not to identify with my body, because it's always changing. You could lose an arm, a leg, or bits of you, but that's not you. And so I wasn't identified with this body, with speech or anything else. And so I found something underneath that, which I call that child self or the human spirit, and behind that I was always safe and secure, and so I managed to find my way through it without anger, without frustration or anything else, and that peace that passeth understanding, that was always with me, very good, and gave me a lot of strength.